Okay, this demo is using GBTimelapse AutoRamp in the expert mode using 3 neutral density filters to achieve the holy grail of a uniform bulb mode time lapse. First I'll get a test exposure of the scene with the autofocus set. So now that I've got a focus, I can turn autofocus off on my lens. And now I'll put on the 3 neutral density filters. Now that the filters are stacked on, I'll take another exposure. That was at 3/10 of a second f2.8. So I'll set it to bulb f2.8 at 3/10 of a second. I'll make it a little longer to get the luminance up. You're at 1 second. Luminance is 119. I'll set that for my target luminance value. So AutoRamp is set on. I'm not going to adjust the aperture value. I'm going to leave it at f2.8. I will adjust the ISO up to 1600. I'll shift the ISO when the bulb exposure time gets up to 24 seconds as it's getting darker. I won't allow the bulb exposure time to get more than 30 seconds. The minimum bulb value I will allow is 0.1 seconds. I'm going to have 3 neutral density filters on, a 3.23 on closest to the camera, a 2.98, and another 2.98. So that's a total of about 9 f-stops. And the sun's going to be setting, so I'm going to use sunrise sunset compensation. Of course, I'm using neutral picture style, bulb mode, daylight white balance, time-lapse interval of 30 seconds, starting out with bulb time of 1 second. In the project settings, I'm going to start this program at a relative time 1 hour before sunset and end at a relative time 2 hours after sunset. So I'll have to watch this as it gets darker. When the bulb exposure time gets up to about 16 seconds, I'll take off one of the filters. This one will come off first, and I'll uncheck this value. And the AutoRamp will compensate for the fact that the filter was taken off and adjust the bulb exposure time accordingly. I'm going to start the time lapse now, and it will begin at 7:23. That's in a couple hours from now, but I'll just let it run. Check back later. Okay, it's been running for about 45 minutes now, and it's right at sunset. Okay, the bulb time is at 9 seconds. It's going to gradually increase to 24 seconds, at which time it'll increase the ISO. But I want to remove the filter before it switches the ISO. So when the bulb time gets to be about 16 seconds, I'll pause time lapse and remove the first filter. Okay, the bulb time is about 16 seconds, so after it takes the next image, I'm going to pause and remove the filter. The bulb is happening right now. Bulb exposure just ended. I'll pause. I'll mark this filter as being removed. I'll actually remove the filter from the camera and resume the time lapse. It should go down to about 2 seconds now for the next capture. There was 2.3 seconds. And the luminance was about the same, so there should be no jump in luminance. I'll have to do this again in about 15 minutes. Okay, it's about 15 minutes after sunset. It's gotten quite a bit darker. The image is still maintaining a nice luminance around 119. The bulb duration is around 11 seconds now. It's steadily increasing. When it gets around 15, I'm going to pause and remove the second filter. Okay, it's around 12 seconds right now. Just note that it takes about 15 seconds to capture the image. The capture interval is 30 seconds. Right now the sun is 2.5 degrees below the horizon. The last image was captured at 12.96 seconds bulb time. I'm being careful not to interact with the program right now because I don't want to slow it down. The bulb timing is in software, so I don't want to cause it to switch tasks. After the next image, I'm going to pause and remove the second filter. It's capturing right now. I'll pause, mark the filter as removed, take the filter off the camera, and resume. The bulb time was cut down to 2.1 seconds. Luminance stayed right around 119, so we shouldn't have any kind of a flicker. So only one more filter to remove, another 10 or 15 minutes from now. Okay, the bulb time is up to over 10 seconds again. It's about 20 minutes or so after sunset. The bulb time is gradually increasing. I'm going to remove the third filter pretty soon here. See, the sun is 4 degrees below the horizon. Bulb time is 11.56 seconds now. I'll let it go a little longer before I remove the third filter. Bulb start. Bulb in. Pause. Mark the filter as removed. Take the filter off the camera. Resume. So we should see the bulb time go down to about 2 seconds for the next capture. There we go, 2.0. A little bump in luminance, that's because I'm recording this on video. You can look at the history. And you can see how the luminance has been very steady throughout this time lapse. Here's the exposure time increasing. I removed the first filter and the exposure time dropped down. Gradually increased again. I removed the second filter and the exposure time dropped down again. And here's the exposure time increasing again when I removed the third filter. So that's a very smooth luminance curve. There should be very little flicker, if any. So I'm going to let this go till tomorrow, and I'll show you the finished result.